Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So for today's video we're going to be making a cool Memory Dex card using the gel press for the background. So let's go ahead and get to it. Alright, so it's been a little while since we've played with the gel press. So I'm going to get it out and just have some inky fun today. This may work, this may not work. I have a rough idea of what I'm trying to do. We shall see. So whenever I'm using my gel press, I grab my Misty out, not to use with the gel press, but just so that I've got my gel press has something to sit on. And that way I can spin it around and move it to whichever kind of department of things I want. I'm taking my colours. I'm actually just going to grab one more colour, I think. I'm taking my colours from this collection from Kaisercraft. This is the Stargazer collection. It's a really old one now, but I'm thinking I might use some of these big stickers. I found this collection when I found out I had the 12x12 paper pack. I found it in my cupboard when I was cleaning some stuff out. So I thought, alright, well, we'll take the colours from there. So I've got, and again, I may change this a little bit, but I've got Weathered Wood and Speckled Egg to kind of make that lightish. And then I've just grabbed Pumice Stone as a bit of an extra. And I've got Chip Sapphire as my darkest colour with Black Soot. I'm actually just going to bring in just a little bit of prize ribbon, and I've also got a couple of the inks as well because I might use some ink. I also want to add some dimension to this, so I have a couple of stencils and some texture paste, and you know, we're going to have fun. We're going to make a Memory Dex card. That's sort of, I don't know if I said that before, but I'm just going to play with what I've got and see what we can make, basically. See what we can make. So I have my brayer ready to go. In my investigations, I have found two things. I don't like, and I'm just going to grab out some sort of examples here that I've been playing with. This is the Distress ink when put on here. This is the Distress Oxide. No, that was the first run. That's the difference between the two. So I definitely like the Oxide because it gives me a smoother finish. However, if I do second gen, where's the second gen? It was here somewhere. That one. I get a much smoother kind of background. And also the same thing if I if I brayer it on in the first place, I get a little bit smoother. So I'm going to try a couple of those things today, and we're just going to sort of see how we go. So I have my brayer. I'm going to grab a little bit of Weathered Wood first. Whoops. Because it's sort of my lightest colour. Sort of. The problem, of course, with using the brayer is that I don't think this is going to work in the way that I want it to, so I'm just going to ignore that. We'll just go on where we want it. So there's a little bit of Weathered Wood, and then I do want a little bit of blue, so I'm going to pull in a little bit of the Speckled Egg. And it is going to make a very funny looking background, I'm aware, but we're just going to go with it. Just a tinsy little bit of the grey. I'm going to do this as a first layer. There's going to be a lot of layers to this, I think. And I just want it to be smooth. So I don't like the bubbles that I kind of get here. So I'm really working this oxide together to try and get a nice smooth kind of result. Oh, I like that. I've just seen what it looks like on the little, that's what I got. So I'm going to grab just my piece of white cardstock. This is just plain white cardstock, nothing fancy. It's actually one of my scrap bits. And I'm going to work on this because then I can cut it down afterwards. I just like to brayer over the top so that I get a nice transfer. And then we'll pick it up. Ooh, it's very light, but I very much like it. Okay, so I like that. So I'm going to go again with a similar kind of thing. So I'll do another layer of the gel press. But now I'm going to bring in just a little bit of the Chip Sapphire, mainly around the outside. Now, if you're someone that doesn't like getting their colours mixed up, this probably isn't going to be a good process for you, and your OCD is going to be going mental right now. I'm sorry. I don't mind getting them a little bit messed up. I find they come off very easily, so I don't mind. But if you're not that kind of person, I completely understand. You can sort of do one colour at a time, or just don't mix them up so much. You could do this as an ombre just as much as you could a smashing all of them together. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so I'm a little nervous going straight over the top, but we're here to play, remember? Ooh. See, I don't like the braille lines, but I'm just going to see if I can second gen it. What I'll get. Ooh, that's a bit better. So I sort of fix some of those braille lines, and I'm not horribly worried about them, but it'll be fine. Now this is a bonus of doing oxides, is that they do what's the word I'm looking for? Layer on top of each other. So I'm just adding a little bit more, just of those 3 blue colours. I feel like all of these together would very much get close to just what Faded Jeans looks like. Which was not the point, but anyway, we're there now. Oh, that's a bit better. Oh, I like that. Okay, so from there, I want to add a little bit of texture to this. So I'm going to put a whole heap. I'm not cleaning my gel press between these. I'm just using them, and as you can see, I did pick up a bit of colour on that speckled egg. I don't mind. And then I'm just going to braid this one out. I'm just going the other way just to try and even out that braille line a little bit. I'm not moving any of that ink off this time. I'm leaving it there. And I'm just going to pick up this. This is a stencil. This is a, oh, I do know who it's from. Hold on. It's a Nellie's Choice stencil. And I'm just grabbing a bit of scrap paper and just coming in over the top of this. I want to use the ink that's on the stencil. So I'm just picking up all of that stuff. I want the actual sort of hexagon pattern. So I'll still come back to that because I'll use it in a sec. But I just want this bit. So I'm going to put that down on there. And I'm just pushing. I do want to use my brayer, but I don't want to put the ink so I'm just going to have to wipe some of it off. Alright, that'll be fine. Uh-oh! I do that all the time. I push way too hard. So easy to fix. You just push it back in again. But I push too hard. That's my fault. So I'm just printing that down. I don't mind if it moves. I want the texture. I want the texture, but it didn't come through. Alright. I'm not giving up yet. I'm going to pick up, just on an extra bit of cardstock, because I am going to do some layers. So I'll just pick that up on there, and we'll work that out in a sec. Oh, that's kind of cool. That side's got the ink. Maybe it was just that it didn't kind of push through. I'm not quite sure. We'll try that. No, that's not working either. I really wanted that. Because now my pretty pattern's on. Now let's, hold on. Again, we're just experimenting, so we might as well. We'll just see what we get. Nothing! Alright. So, it's going to go just with prize ribbon, which is that really, or not really dark blue, but the darker of the blues. I don't mind that I get ink everywhere. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. try this one more time. If it doesn't work, I'm going to give up. But, well, hold on. Maybe I have to go that way. Let's try this instead. We'll put that down. And then we'll put that. And then brayer over the top. It's there, but it's very subtle. That's better. That's how you do it. Okay. It is a funny kind of patternedy, backgroundy thing, but I like it. I'm just then going to grab just a little bit of some of that ink. I'm going to actually come in with a blending brush in a minute and kind of add some stuff to it. I really like that. I love the way that has turned out. So much so actually I'm going to grab this back in and pick up all of the excess ink that was on here, because it's got now this sort of jewel effect, and I'm actually going to use a die in a minute to cut some of that out. Before I do that, I do want to put on, I want to cut out the actual, I feel like it needs a bit more dark. We've got to do some more dark things. So I'm just grabbing my blending brushes, oh sorry, that's my ink. I don't want my ink, I want my oxides. Do not want to get them mixed up. So I'm going to cut the actual card out. So it's going to be the sort of basis of our card. I will mount this on another bit of cardboard later because it is a little bit messy. Not messy, because it's wet, it's a little bit floppy. Is that the right word? I don't know. So I'm just adding a little bit of ink around the edges because we're going to add a little bit more texture with some stenciling. I also want to put in some black. I didn't use enough black before. I'm being very gentle with the black. I don't want to come in too far or make too much of a thing. Right, I think that's okay. Alright, for the stencil paste, sorry, I'm going to bring in my station because it is so good for using whenever you've got stencils. I'm just going to chuck a little bit of dot liner on the back just so it doesn't wander around too much. And then the stencil I'm using is this Echo Park one that I got a little while ago. Where did I put it? There it is. I got this, did I get it at Christmas? Might be in the Boxing Day sales. I just really like the moon and the stars and stuff, and if we're sort of doing this, it's not a full galaxy, but it's a bit of a galaxy kind of thing happening here. I just thought it would be cool to try. I don't want to put this the whole way over. I want this to be a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Sporadic? Is that the right word? But I also do want there to be a little bit of colour. I don't want this to be white. So you guys have seen me do this before. I'm just going to add a little bit of, I'm going to do the weathered wood. So I'm putting that out over there. A little bit of my texture paste. Now, this is a little bit dry, but it'll be okay. Just mix that together. Get this sort of dark grey, wispy kind of colour. Looks like a dark grey cloud. I'm actually just going to pull in just a tinsy little bit of some of that chip sapphire that's sitting over there. Okay. And then let's put some of this on. Like I said, I'm not doing the whole bit. I'm just doing little areas. Oh, I really like that. That has ended up looking a little bit more grey than I think I thought it would, but that's okay. I'm just going to hold that magnet in place, this one here, and just pick up the stencil gently, just so if I want to put it back down again, I can. then I do want to put it back down. I just want a little bit more over here. I might actually add in some more darkness in a minute. I think this needs a bit of splattering. So I've had people ask me before what the difference is between the ink and the oxide is when it comes to this sort of stuff. I find I get a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess depth is the right word when I'm splattering with ink, because you just sort of get a little bit more saturation, I guess maybe is the right word. So I'm just a little bit of splattering. I'm going to bring in some white splatter later. I'm also just going to add just a little bit to some of the texture bits. I'm just basically painting over the top. Only the little bits. I'm not doing any of the big stars or anything. Just as a bit of extra. Okay, and then from there, I'm going to let that all dry. I've got ink on my top. Okay, so I'm going to pick that up. Yeah, I'm not quite loving it yet, but I don't not love it, if that makes any sense. It's just a not quite there yet. Just a not quite there yet. Just cleaning up that texture paste off my station. I'll also go and just run my stencil under some water and I'll be right back. Alright, while that's sort of drying off, I'm going to pull in... I have so much mess here. I thought I cleaned up all the mess. This is a bit weird. I'm going to kind of grab that. This is also just an extra little bit that I had before. I just don't like to waste any of my texture paste. So I'm just really messily sliding that off. I'm actually going to end up trying to use that as a bit of some of the stars that I'm going to cut in just a sec. So, texture paste will always need baby wipes or some kind of a damp cloth to clean it up rather than using a dry one. You can sort of get a rough tidy if you need to from a dry one, but it's always better to clean it with a damp one. Grabbing down my die cut machine. I'm going to grab this stacked star stamp set. This is from Uniquely Creative. It came in the oh, what was it called? The advent calendar. And what I'm going to do is cut out a bunch of these. So all out of this bit and then out of those texture bits that I did before. This cuts out a bunch of different stars, so I'm just going to cut out one. So I'm going to cut this out a couple of times, and because we've got all of this colour, whatever you want to call it, on the back, like on the actual piece of cardstock, I'm hoping we get some cool kind of effects with the stars. I also haven't used this die yet, so I'm very excited to see what it looks like. Oh, okay, cool. So you get all of these stars come out. Oh, that looks so cool. So you get some frames. I'm just pulling them up. I didn't get a new set of plates, but I tidied my old set of plates, so everything's sort of sticking to it a little bit. Alright, so you get 5 stars, you get 4 frames, and then one sort of solid one in the middle. Oh, I like that. Okay, so I'm going to cut out, like I said, a couple of these. Also going to do... Actually, I'm just going to cut out 2 of these, and then we're going to add something to the others to kind of give us a bit more depth. Because I feel like that's really good, and it looks good, but it's going to get lost on that. Oh no, because it's a bit lighter, it might not. Okay. That's not quite dry yet, so I'm just going to hold fire on that one. I love this one with this little stitching detail. I'm just pulling that original back in. Okay, so I'm going to do, just having a play with this. My texture here is just about dry. I don't mind at the moment if it gets a little bit squashed. Just grabbing some tweezers. like the idea of the stars being stacked, which is what this sort of die is all about anyway. I think I'm done with the die colour for now, but I'll bring that back up again in a second if I need to. This is just a piece of my sticker paper. I'm grabbing this moon, this really dark, no, we'll grab the slightly lighter one. And I'm just putting that down onto that sticker paper because I still want it to be sticker paper. But it needs to sort of be a different colour. It needs to come in with the other stuff. So I'm just grabbing the weathered wood. I'm just going to use my grey blending brush for this. I'm just going in over the top. Now, this will look funny depending on how we do it, because the sticker paper is a little shiny. Sorry, the sticker itself is a little shiny. So I don't want this to be perfect. I want this to be a little pulled back. So I'm topping a little bit of that off. Is that the right word? Topping. And then I'm also going to grab whatever is left on my gel press. Whoops, I lost the sticker. Very little. Very little left on the gel press. So this is really how I just play. I don't know what I'm doing. No idea. But just creating and just seeing what happens. Definitely not loving that. But this is white pigment ink. This is the Hero Arts white pigment ink. Again, I don't know what's going to happen here. I'm making a mess for the sake of it now. Ooh, I'm actually kind of pulling that sticker paper up a little bit, but I actually think that looks kind of cool. It's giving it that distressed sort of look. Okay. Maybe it just needs to be a little bit more blue. So this is just whatever was on my brush before. It is really keeping that distressed kind of look, which I love. There we go, that's a bit better. I don't know. I'm in a bit of two minds with that. I'm just going to leave it off for now and I'll come back to it. I'm going to get these stars down. So the easy way for me to do this is to grab a bit of washi tape, pick up the stars in the sort of pattern that I want them, knowing that I can pick them up and kind of just readjust them a little if I want to, which is what I'm going to do. There we go. I'm just going to use liquid glue for this so I've got a bit of give. Whoops, that was way too much liquid glue. I hate when you get those big dobs. It's the only downside sometimes to my Tombow. I love my Tombow glue, but it does sometimes glob. I'm thinking, so I'm going to Pitch to Page this weekend. So if you're around, if you're in the Melbourne area and you want to come and try some random stuff, which is basically what we'll be doing, there'll be crafty stuff, there'll be plannery stuff, it'll be an all-in fun fest. I'm going to be there on Sunday, but it is open Saturday and Sunday at the Sandown Racecourse. I'll put details down below if you want to investigate. Okay, hold on. I've done a very bad job there. I've forgotten my own slow piece of advice. When using liquid glue, stick it down first and then pull your tape up. Like I said, if you're interested in coming, I'll put details of it down below and you can check it out. But there will be lots of crafty stuff. But I'm going to try and find some of those detailed glue containers. I'm going to put all my mono liquid glue in them. But I really want the detailed tip because this one is good, but it's not great. Now I pulled up a little bit of the background there, but that's actually fine. So do the same thing with this one. I'm going to line it up on my mat instead though. Now in hindsight, if I was going to do this again, if I was going to cut these out again, I'd cut them with a bit of like double-sided sticky paper on the back, because that's a little tricky, and I'm going to have to come in here with some scissors, not scissors, something pointy to kind of get rid of some of those glue marks, because they're going to be everywhere. I hate that. I did put glue all the way around the side because I wasn't sure exactly where I wanted to stick it down, so I figured it's better to put glue everywhere and not need it than vice versa. I love this live for the moments you can't put into words, and I kind of want to stack it down the side, and then I'm thinking of putting a picture of Charlotte, so I'm gonna live for the moments. I'm just trimming this wherever I feel like it. And the only part about this that I think I'm going to change, I know this is a sticker and that would make life so much easier for me by doing it, but I'm not gonna. I'm just going to grab a bit of that scrap cardboard that I had before, and I'm just sticking them down. I'm going to try and make them a bit straight. I want some dimension behind these. It's what I want. So I'm going to actually stick these on the cardstock, cut them out, and then do it again so I can stack these up. Now I've lost one. There it is. There we go. So I'm cutting these out just with scissors. I don't think I'm going to fly things around the place. I don't think I need to do these with the trimmer. It's not really that difficult, but I can just continue to use these scraps to keep cutting it, so I'll keep stacking it up. And I don't mind if they're not perfect, because it's not designed, this to me isn't designed to be perfect. Anything you get the gel press out for is never going to be perfect, so I don't mind if it's not wonderfully wonderful. I am just tidying up a little bit of that ink because it was still sitting there. Just wherever I can, I'm just trying to get rid of the white. I don't want to be able to see the white. Alright, so I ended up having 4 layers of cardstock on this. I just felt like it needed a bit of up. And then I'll put that down in a second. But I'm just looking at this thinking I want more of the stars, and I want a little bit more texture. So I'm going to get 2 things out to give me my texture. The first one is this little Cutie Pie splatter stamp. This is from Uniquely Creative as well. I just love this controlled kind of splatter. It still gives you that splatter look, but you don't have to lose the control. So I'm just going to use this with just a little bit. Actually, I should have done the other one first. Just pull it off and fix it up. This one's Kay's Craft one. It's just a scripty, wordsy kind of one. No idea what it actually says. Don't really care. Doesn't need to be anything. Bit of white pigment ink. I do want it to be the right way up though. So I'm just coming in. I just want it to sit kind of, I just don't want it to look too out of place, which is ridiculous because it's going to be out of place. Okay, I'm going to put it behind the words and I'm going to keep it straight. And then I'll come in with the second one. Should have done that. Just a bit more ink. I'm a little unsure. That'll dry back a little bit. It won't stay quite that white. So it'll be fine. I'm a little worried now. Little worried. It'll be fine. And then we'll just grab that splatter. I only want this really on the edges. I don't want it all over. She says as she puts it right in the middle. This is like the 3rd gen now, so it's a very little ink on it, or just little bits. So you really can't see that one, but it's there. Okay. This one definitely has texture. Alright, speaking of texture, the last thing we do is just grab that bit that we had the texture paste on before. I don't know if this will come in. I may choose to leave it out. I just want to see what it looks like on here. I didn't let it dry, did I? Yeah. It's not going to work because I didn't let it dry properly. I do this a lot with texture paste. I completely forget that you have to let it dry. And then I end up with it everywhere. Just being a bit more gentle with this second one. It's dried enough that it's not sticking in there, but it's just not quite, it's not popping out on its own, and it's not going to give me quite what I wanted it to. Oh, actually, maybe it will. I may have to use this star again, because I'm having some ideas on some cards to make with it. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. The biggest thing with this, that it's leaving a little bit of a sort of an innard, which I don't like. I kind of want to use just a couple of the solidy ones as well, because they're not getting enough love. I'm going to put that one at the top, but then I'm going to use a little bit of, when I cut it off, there'll be some left over. I'm trying to disguise the line a little bit, because that is a rather stark line of ink to no ink. That one at the top there, and then I'm just going to hold on to that one because I'll put it in here in a sec. Now the other thing I just need to do before I put these down is I just need to put a little bit of a colour around the edge, because otherwise you're going to be able to see that white, and I don't know if I like it, but I just want to do a quick test first. So I'm just grabbing a bit of my scrap. This is one of my Tombos. I'm just checking. It should be okay. Yeah, that's fine. This is $5.69. I always just get worried that I'm going to go the wrong kind of blue and make a mess. So I'm just going to go around the outer bits here so that there's no white, or no visible white. It doesn't matter if there's still a little bit, but and I'm just kind of going to line this up and see how it's going to fit. Very much like that, just trying to find the right spot for it. I feel like it needs to be just over this way a little bit more, and I really like the fact that it's not straight. The last thing I just realised I haven't done yet, which I really need to, is I just need to punch my MemoryDex bits, otherwise I'm going to end up with forgetting where that needs to go. Come on. Oh, that is there, that's okay. So I'm just lining that up in my punch. A lot of people have the dies these days, either or is fine. And then the only thing I'm just going to really quickly do is just round off these top edges. This is a me thing, I like the rounded, but if you're fine with the square, leave it square. I'm also just a little bit of texture paste at the top that's just kind of leaving a funny mark, so I'm just fixing that up too. Okay. Live for the moments. you can't put into words. So I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue for this as well, so I've got some time to wiggle these. At this point I am using tweezers still, but I'm kind of got glue and ink and stuff all over my hands, so I really don't mind. This is the fun part for me sometimes. It's why I wish I could art journal, and I know that I'm on the right track to art journaling right now, but I'm not great at it, and I sometimes feel like I'm doing it for no reason at all, and that is a bit weird, but occasionally I just like the fun of it. I'm going to add a couple little bits of glitz in a minute because we can't have this be completely shineless. Oh, I very much like that. Okay, it needs something in the middle because it's got the texture paste all in those other bits, so it doesn't have anything in the middle. I'm thinking of bringing these stickers in, but I'm just worried that they're a little bit, actually that doesn't look too bad. I was worried that would look too something, but because of that grey paper, it kind of brings it all to, the greyish texture paste. That actually doesn't look too bad. Okay. I am going to do one, I'm scared to do it, but I just want to, just grabbing one of these little ones off this border. There's a border at the bottom. I'm just tearing it and I'm grabbing my scrap bit. Just going back to that, just seeing if I can pull it back just a little bit, because it just looks a little bit too, there you go. It's still got the white on it, but I just pulled it back just a little bit, just with a little bit of that distress ink, sorry. I've got lots of little glitzy bits these days, so I'm not quite sure which ones I want to use here. This is the silver bling, and this is the silver pearls. Both of these are from Uniquely Creative. Their embellishments are fantastic at the moment. And I know I haven't used too much silver, so I don't want to go over the top here. So I'm just going to play with just some of the little ones. I'm not coming anything bigger than this sort of second run round. And if any of them just lose a bit of stick, because some of them do, and that's fine. A little bit of glue will fix that. I don't have any rhyme or reason when putting stuff like this down. I'm very, not bad at it, but I just kind of put it where I think it looks nice, and I don't try not to think about it too much, because the more you think about it, to me, the harder it is. So I'm just, wherever I sort of think it might look nice is where I'm putting these. My hand is covered in glue. It's okay. And just have a bit of patience when you're putting them down, especially if you're using glue, because they do tend to jump up on you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't have an even number. It has to be odd. I still feel like it just needs something. No, I'm going to stop playing with it, because, you know, the more you play with things, the worse it gets. I just put my hand right in the middle of all of that watercolour. That's what it needs. I knew what it needed. Just grabbing, these are my gem colours. I just need a little bit of gem blue. Now, I'm not cleaning my brush at all from having that other watercolour on it, or having the distress ink on it. This blue is a little bit lighter, so I'm just going to show you what it looks like on here. It's definitely a lighter blue, because we're just going to use it sparingly. But I'm just getting a bit closer, because I want it to be a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Purposeful, she says, as she just puts it everywhere. I think that's okay. I could sit here and keep going for hours and just keep making and making and making and see what happens. But I don't mind that. It's not nowhere near what I had in my head, but then I don't really know what I had in my head. It's fun to come into a video like this and have absolutely no idea what you want to do, except that you want to use the gel press and some texture paste and shove it all together and see what you get. that's the part of this that's fun. It's I want to play with using tools as opposed to trying to get an outcome. This is very much I just want to see what I can get by using these things, and let's see what happens. So that's it for this one, guys. I hope you did enjoy this slightly more messy, let's just see what happens kind of video. I've really enjoyed doing this, so thank you so much for sitting with me. I do want to send a really big thank you to both Desley and Simone for helping me get through my little creative rut that I had when I was trying to work out what this video was going to be. And I also want to send out a big thank you to Planner Mashup, who has completely and utterly inspired me to start playing with MemoryDex cards again. If you haven't seen her stuff already, I'll link her down below. You can go check it out on Instagram. She's using doing some absolutely fantastic cards using the Planners Anonymous kits. They are very inspiring. Well done. I love them. So now I'm going to try and play with some too. If you did enjoy this one, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and make sure you follow me on all of my socials. I hope you have an absolutely awesome rest of your day, and I will catch you again in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!